Okay, so now we're recording. All right, so let's try this. Yeah, see this? This is not good up here. I don't know what my environment for tests may not be set up properly. So yeah, let's see. It does it PL, let's see or something like that. Okay, so let's see if this will save. Yeah, it seems like it's working. So that seems like it's working, Carlos. So you had problems with that, but I noticed that I don't have my firm name in here. So I'll have to ask Jan or someone why this is not there. I should have my firm name up in the corner. Unless I have to set.
In our case, it's displayed as testing stuff, so it is displayed for us in our account.
Is it showing in yours?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. But mine was created way back when, so they might have deleted the environment, and so I haven't logged into. Well, it should take it. I don't know why it's not doing it. That's a good question.
But that name comes to Salesforce, isn't it?
Yeah, so the link will get copied over to the database inside test. So maybe for some reason it didn't get synchronized. So I could probably, yeah, I'll have to ask Jan. Yeah, well, I'll talk to Jan tomorrow.
Right.
But okay. So my question is, do you want me to start out from scratch and show you how to use Cypress, or do you want me to just show you the inside of our architecture in the software?
I think we can go through this crash as well, just to confirm if we are doing it as you expected. Yeah, I think we're good if we can start.
Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is, oh, I didn't show. Did you see our schema? How big our schema is? Oh. Isn't that crazy? This is our database schema.
All right.
It's crazy, isn't it? That's what you guys are testing, all that data behind there.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this to a GitHub repository so that you can use it as a reference.
Yeah, we already have accounts Glenn created.
No, for the Scratch one.
Ah, yeah.
So I'm going to do everything from scratch. Okay. So I'll go ahead and yeah, let me shut the door. I'm going to go ahead and create a new repository, and I'll call it Cypress intro. Oh, Cypress from scratch. Okay. And we'll use Angular 11. So scratch. We'll make it public, and we'll just add, and then we'll create a repository. Okay, so I'll add, let's see. I made it public so that you guys can see it, and I can send you the link. I'll send a link to Carlos as I have his.
That's fine.
Okay. So the first thing we want to do is, let me go into my machine here. So we have a repository, and I'm going to add, yeah, let's see. So I'm going to add this, copy this. Well, I already know. Okay, so I already know that. Okay, so let's just add it here. I'm going to add, go to settings and add my other account here. Go to manage. And I should probably go here. My address. I'll probably have to log out here. Okay, so I set it up as my other user here. So that's what you would have to do. Okay, so now I'm going to go to my virtual machine because I have a nice virtual machine all set up for Angular. So let's do that. I got so many windows open, it's crazy. Okay, so I have, let's see here. I have VS Code here, so, and I have GitHub, so let's go in here. And load, well, yeah, let's first go to the probably the easiest thing to do is to go to GitHub. And let's go to our repositories. And we'll go to Angular Advisors, go repositories, and then we have Cypress from scratch. Let's go ahead and open it up with GitHub. Go over here, clone this. Okay, and then we can just open it up with VS Code. And so now we can exit out of here. Let's go ahead and exit out of here. And let's bring our VS Code up from here. And so you notice that here we just have an empty repository, right? There's nothing in it except for the README file, right? Which is that. So what we do, okay, so what I'm going to do here is, let's see, go to a directory here and go to my documents in GitHub, and then Angular Advisors, and then here, just open this with VS Code. I'm going to use another reference file here, so I'm going to cheat, but you're not going to see me cheat. Okay, so the first thing we want to do, let's go ahead and create a nice README file, right? So let's see.
I noticed that you are using Visual Studio, but we can use Cypress itself, right?
No.
Why not?
Cypress is a tool.
Yeah, but it is an editor that we can use. I think.
No.
When we download Cypress, it comes with an editor, and we could create the test cases from that.
Comes with a testing suite, the testing environment, but it doesn't come with an editor.
Right.
Does that? Yeah, because it's when you run it. Well, I'll show you. Okay. I'll even. Right. It's probably a good thing that you decided to do the scratch, because yeah, I've been doing Cypress for 4 years. Okay, so the first thing we want to do, okay, is, are you familiar with like the Angular CLI at all, or if not, okay.
Yeah, I know something about Angular, but I haven't used it. I haven't used it because it is just for development front end. Yeah,
Well, yeah, but but if you're making Cypress tests, right? So
yeah, in
what I'm going to
JS.
do, yeah. So what I'm going to do, the first thing I'm going to do, let me do search for this again. Yeah, okay. So go down here and down here. Yeah, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the CLI, okay, and I'll show you how to install that later. But I'm going to go ahead and just create a window like this. You could do it. We could do it here too. So we can go into here, create a new terminal, all right, and then what we'll do is we'll add a command, which is this is the CLI command to create a new Angular project, okay? So what we'll do, we'll call this Cypress from scratch, okay? And so we're gonna basically do a minimal project, okay? And I'll add all these commands in there. So once we do that,
Oh yeah, I just confirming. I was confused, but yeah, we are using Visual Studio.
Visual Studio Code,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it basically created a file here, and here's all the different stuff. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the, oh wow, okay. Yeah, I just messed that up. Okay. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is take all of this that I've created, and I'll give the command structure on how to use it, okay? So I'll take this, copy it into my README file, right? And I'll add that here. But here was the actual commands that I utilized, right? So I'll just copy that and then replace it here. And this here is going to be okay. Oop, didn't copy it right. So let's do that again. Okay, now we will save that there. So now what's happened now is it created this directory here called Cypress from scratch. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this to like an old file. So I'll say rename, because this is a file I want to use, but I'm going to say this is the old file. And then now what I can do is take all of this. So if I take that and just move it up here like that. Let's see. Oh, okay, let's try it again. Okay, sometimes it's better just to use the directory here. So let's do that. So let's exit out of here. And let's just go into the Cypress from scratch directory. And we'll go in here and just take all this code, cut it, and then just go here and paste it here. And then just go ahead and delete this directory. And now what we can do is bring up VS Code. Okay, so now we have the README that was generated. So let's go ahead and just take this stuff that we created, copy that, and just put it in this README here. And then we'll have all of that all set up here with the documentation. So that's what we actually did. So we basically went ahead and created the application here, and then we can just go ahead and delete this now. Okay. And so now we have the actual Cypress from scratch from the repository. And so now one thing I want to tell you is if you're doing something in VS Code, which is nice, is I can have automatic save turned on, see how that does. So it automatically saves. I don't have to save it each time, which really helps. Okay. So now we've got the basics done for it. And so now what I want to do is I could actually run the application, right? So we could go ahead and do that, or since it's in Angular, so let's go ahead and do that. So we'll see. So the first thing you do is an npm install npm I, which is for install. So this is downloading all the Angular stuff for everything. So Cypress is not installed in this. Okay, so we'll have to do that. Now, if you're using a different type of, what we're using Norwell's DX, which is a mono repo, and that has everything all built in. So if you use their tools, the DX util kit, dev kit, then that will build everything. But if you, so you could do it that way, but I think this way is better because you kind of understand the basics of Angular, right? So we're making the most simplest Angular application right now.
Yeah.
And then we'll just go ahead and add the testing stuff with it.
Yeah, actually, I read that we can create maybe a visual comparison test and using API as well. Yeah, I think there are a lot of things that we need to learn or read about documentation of Cypress.
It's not that, yeah, it's nice. I mean, it's a beautiful tool. I mean, it's probably the best tool I've ever utilized.
Yeah, I really like it.
It's an amazing tool. I learned it in 2017. It's just like my mouth dropped when I seen it. It was,
And just
okay.
in fact, it doesn't use Selenium, so that is amazing.
You know what's nice about that is Selenium. You have always issues with the drivers, right? That's always
Yeah.
This doesn't use any of the drivers. It's all native code, right? So that's what's nice. Okay, so now then we do ng serve -o. And there you go. There's your Angular application. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add Selenium to it. So because I said minimal, all this stuff minimal, I've disabled all the testing stuff, right? But that's okay. So now what I'm going to do, let's look for Cypress here. I'm going to add some more documentation here. So I'm actually doing documentation first for you guys, right? So this is how I created the application down here, right? But now what I'm going to do is before we do that, we can actually yeah. So what I like to do is put that basically right here, and I'll add some more documentation right here. This is how I can install Selenium. Okay, and I'd like to take this guy here, and let's move this guy just up here. Okay, so this project was generated by the Angular CLI 12.04. Okay, so now the first thing we're going to do is there's a command called npm install Cypress -save. So if you're using npm, you use that. If you're using Yarn, you can use that. Those are just two different libraries that you can utilize. So we'll go ahead and copy that down here, and let's go to our terminal. Yeah, so we can delete that, or we can just do a Control C here. CLS to clear. And then we'll do an npm install Cypress -save-dev. So we're adding this as a development tool to our project. So this takes a while, it downloads. But any questions so far?
I think we're good.
Carlos, how about you? Are you still with us?
Yes, I'm still here.
Is it hot down there too? I know
Yes.
we talked about it. It's like crazy hot here.
It's very hot here also.
So Cypress is a big library and it gets bigger and bigger all the time. So it just takes a while to bring this down. And this is all stored in your node modules directory. This, as you can see down here, all the stuff. This can be like 2 gigabytes worth of data. It's just crazy. It gets so big with all the different libraries that you're installing for your application. We're getting close.
Almost there.
Yay. Okay. So you notice that in your package.json file here, you have different scripts that are being run, right? So one of the things you want to do is if you want to integrate Cypress in here, right, is if we go back to our help file here, we want to be able to add this command here. And that command will be inside of our project.json. And we'll put a comma here and then add it there. So when we want to do testing, we can say Cypress -- open. And I think that's what you were saying, that was the editor. So that's how you bring up Cypress. So we want to add that command inside your package.json file so it knows to run that, okay? So once we do that, we can go back to our help file here. So now we want to make sure the following Cypress folders are added to the test ignore path in package.json. So let's go ahead and do that. So in fact, let's go to my package.json here. Yeah, so I'm going to take this guy here. Okay, so if we go to package.json, and you'll notice that okay, so we really don't. Okay, so if we're using another testing utility, and which we're not using. So if you want to install Jest, then you would have to tell to ignore these files, because what will happen is Jest will see these testing for Cypress and it'll try to run those. And so what you want to do, just in case you want to install Jest, right, is that you want to ignore these files. But since we're not installing Jest and we don't have any testing framework other than this, we can ignore that. Does that make sense, guys?
Yep.
But usually as a developer, you have unit tests, right? So you can use Karma and all that and Jest. So we're going to skip that because we want to just concentrate on Cypress. So now the next thing we want to do is in our config.base.json. Okay, they changed it on us. Okay. Yeah, so modify the config.json, which is this guy here. And we want to just add types. So let's go to there, config.json. So yeah, types. TS config. Yeah. So if we go to, so that would be compiler options. So yeah, so in the compiler options, so that they changed this in Angular 12. They always keep changing these in different versions of Angular. So this is Angular 12. So now there's two of them. You have your compiler options there. So let's go ahead and take types right after and put Cypress in there. So that would be targets. Yeah. So here we want to add this here. So this will bring all the types from Cypress into your project. Does that make sense? All the libraries that get congested within your TypeScript configuration. So you need to do that. Does that make sense, guys?
Yep, absolutely.
Just say yes. Okay. And then after we do that, everything's in this README file. Is that we've added that Cypress stuff. And then let's see. Then we want to add an exclude at the bottom of this. Otherwise, this is just for the unit. I don't think we need to do that for this, but we could do it because what'll happen is it'll, for the other libraries, you want to exclude that. So that would be after this here, you would want to put this to ignore those. Okay, so we've done that. So now let's go back to our README file and okay, so now let's do this command here. Copy that. Let's do CLS. Oop. Yeah, okay. So we wanted, this is the command to open our Cypress here. So let's go ahead and add that, copy down here. So this is going to actually create a directory for us, right? And we're going to kind of want to move this directory around. So this is where we're launching Cypress.
Yeah, it is pretty easy to run as well. We can run one by one or just a list of the cases.
Yeah, so
Very
here,
interesting, yeah.
so it's to help you get started. It does all this stuff for you and hit OK. And so basically, here's your, I guess you thought this with the editor, but this is the actual environment that you can run in all the different tools, right? And you'll notice that they give you examples and all of that, right? Okay, so now after it runs, okay, it'll create a root folder in your Cypress integration. And what we want to do is move the example folder located there and create into a different, yeah, so what you want to do is when it's finished, it'll bring up this dialog, right? And so what I do is I want to exit from that, right? And then you'll notice that if I go up here, it's created the Cypress directory, right? And so here is you have your integration, and then it gives you all these examples, right? And so what I want to do is move the integrations just to examples, right? So I can just take this guy and just kind of move it up here. And move there, so that these examples are great, but you don't want them to be part of your tests, right?
Yeah.
So I move them up here so that I have all the examples I can go look for, but then, yeah. Okay, so now I want to do is create a test, a simple test, right? So go back to our file here. And let's go ahead and let's create an initial page TS. So we're in our integration file, and we just hit the plus button here. Well, okay, so maybe not. Okay, so if we do this, there we go. And then we do that. Oh, I didn't copy it right. Copy. Okay, so now I'll try this again. And then go V. And then there's our test, right? So now going back to our README file, what we want to do is create our test like this, right? So we copy that, go into our integration here, bam, bam. Okay, and then what we want to do here is, you'll notice that we have all these squiggly stuff, but what you can do is you can just restart, or you can do go ahead and let's see, yeah, go into your palette and restart the Angular. Sometimes it gets confused and then you restart it. Okay, so now so what we want to do is we have a title, right? So our title in our page, if we look at our code, so we want to visit localhost, right, 4200, and we'll say it has title, and the title, if we look at the HTML, go to source here, go to app, and then go to our app component. Since we renamed it, we'll go to our change it to that. It contains that. Should contain.
Yeah, this is very readable.
Then it would be Cypress. What's that? Is it too? Oh, you want to be bigger?
Now, the code is very readable. We can
Okay,
read,
yeah.
yeah.
And then here we want to do, I think it's Cypress from scratch. So we're just testing, doing a very basic test of the application, right? And so let's go ahead and run it again, just to make sure it says Cypress from scratch, everything works and running. We didn't break anything. And so, yeah, so we have all of this up and it says, welcome to Cypress from scratch. So I'm going to copy this because I think this is what it's supposed to be. I believe, or yeah, let's see. No, it's right here. See Cypress from scratch up here? That's what we're making sure that, that's connected up there right correctly. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're searching for those fields. So now what we want to do, we're almost done. Okay, so now the first field we want to do is we're running is we did an ng serve, right? So now the second one we want to do is you see this button up here and see that we're running. We're actually running, right? If we go to see how it says it's running successfully in the bottom.
Yep.
Okay. So now we want to create another instance of the terminal. So we hit the plus button. Okay, that brings up another terminal. You can see we have two different terminals running. But now what we want to do is we want to do an npm run Cypress open. Okay. So now the application's running in the background, but now we have the testing tool running as well in a different process. Hopefully it'll come up. Oh, there it comes. It takes a while. And so now you can see that our test is here, right? So we click on that and it brings up this dialog here. And then I click on those and say allow access. And there's our test. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
It's not
Pretty
easy.
Cool. Yeah, I think the part of the configuration is just one time, thanks God. But the test cases are really easy.
That's an easy test case, right? That's what you want to start out with, right? Okay, great. Look at that. And everything passed. So we checked to see if this was correct, right? We checked to see if the actual application up here was correct, right? So we did all those tests and we actually visited the page and launched the page. Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do is go ahead and check it in. I'll say,
We are going to use that repository or a new one.
yeah, so we're going to push all the changes that we did to the repository so you can get it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So
we don't need to do it.
no, you don't need to do it. It's all done. But you can watch the video and do it from scratch again.
Thank you.
Push it, right? And so now you can test that. It has all the instructions. See, and here it shows you how we all set it up in the README file, and we're done. So now let me show you the application here. So I'll bring up that run. Yeah, I gotta get rid of these. All these errors are. Oh, Jan's got. Yeah. Okay, so now let's go ahead and show you. This is our actual application that we do. So this is called the mono repo. So you notice they have lots of directories here. Here's your apps. But you see this folder here? This is where all your Cypress testing goes right here in this location. So here's all your fixtures, plugin, your different tests for integration and all of that. So you set up everything through this directory here and that's ED3 and that's the E2E stands for end-to-end testing. So that's where you would set up your tests. Does that make sense?
All right. Yep. Sounds
So,
good.
okay, I think that's it.
All right. We just need the URL for the repository, trying to clone that here. in
Yeah,
our
I gave it to Carlos already, but I can send it to you.
It's fine. Carlos had.
Yeah,
Yes,
Carlos.
I have it. I can
Yeah,
share with
here's Carlos. So I sent you the repository here. If we click on that,
All right.
there's all the code we just committed. See that? Isn't that neat?
Yep.
All the instructions how to do it.
Yeah. Sounds
All
good.
right.
All right. I think we're good. Let you know how it goes into our accounts. We already have accounts in and virtual machines, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Thank
thanks
you
for
so
joining.
much. I appreciate your
You're
time.
welcome. Any
Bye-bye.
questions, let me know.
All right.
Nice to have you guys on.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.